Hi, I'm Cameron from FlightCentral. In this channel, I'm going to be uploading my experiences as a pilot in training. As an audience, you'll be able to see my growth in aviation and see how I become a better pilot. Right now, as I'm uploading this video, I have about 4.5 hours of flight time. So far, I've only recorded my first lesson. So here it is, my first lesson. Enjoy.
Okay. There's some references I want you to notice that are real important. You're not sitting on the center line of the airplane, okay? Since you're not on the center line of the airplane, you can't look across the spinner and expect it to line up with anything. So I'm going to put it on center line over here. And it should feel like that yellow line is going through your right leg, okay? This is center line. Notice where that line appears like it's coming through your leg. See that? Mm-hmm. This is what you're going to see on takeoff. Your straight ahead isn't looking where that line goes. If you look, see where the cowling out there kind of makes a curvature downward like that?
Yeah.
That is straight ahead. This screw here, and looking out over that curvature, kind of this is your aft rifle sight. That's your front sight on the cowling down there, and those two will keep the airplane aligned. Does that make any sense? Have you shot a weapon before, a rifle?
Yeah.
BB gun, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know when you shoot one, you've got to look through the rear sight and the front sight and line them up to hit the target. Same thing for the airplane. Your rear sight's right about here, actually. And your front sight is an imaginary sight that sits there just as that cowling starts to curve down. Or on your sight starts to curve down. Do you see that point? When you line those two up, you're actually going straight. The cowling curves like this. If you try to use the shape of the cowl or what you think looks right, you're going to be flying sideways in this airplane. So focus on looking straight ahead and aft sight, front sight, and lining those two up like a BB gun or a rifle. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll start the practicing for you have the flight controls, I have the flight controls. Okay? So
Okay.
you have the flight controls, so put your hand on the stick.
I have the
Flight controls. Left hand here. Put your hand on the throttles. Yeah, just right there. And bend your wrist a little out like that. There you go. That's it. Let your legs support the weight of your wrist. Okay, now you're on the rudder pedals. You feel me move them there? Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'll say, you said you have the flight controls? Okay, I'm releasing my controls and you have the flight controls.
I have the flight controls.
You have the flight controls. So you're driving the airplane now or taxiing it on the ground. So you can get a feel for it, see? Good, very good. And when it comes time to slow down here, just shift your feet up and press equally on the tops of the rudder pedals. Go ahead and do that. Push forward with the top, with your toes. See how it slows it down there? Those are brakes. It'll work out real good for you. Okay, now we're going to apply full right rudder all the way and a little bit of right brake. Okay? A little more right brake. And it brings it right around, doesn't it? Okay, bring your feet back to middle. And both brakes on the top and we're stopped. Not bad. All right, good. Go ahead and put your hands on the controls, and I want you to, I've got the throttle, but I want you to feel the inputs that I give, okay? Good here. Up with the runway. What lined up looks like. Do a little right rudder to compensate for torque, adding power all the way. get oil, fuel pressure's good, airspeed's coming alive. There's my 40 knots, a little back pressure. Now wheelbarrow it till it flies off on its own. And I'm going to pitch up to the pitch angle for 60 knot climb. And if I make the proper pitch adjustment, guess what? That airspeed stays right where I want it to. If you fly this thing using known pitch settings, your life is a lot better, a lot easier. Okay, we're above 650 feet, so I'm going to bring the flaps up. Lower the nose just a little bit to accelerate to 75 knots, which is our climb out airspeed. It takes a lot of right rudder because this thing has a lot of torque. We'll learn all about that later. This is the climb picture. Notice where the horizon comes through the glare shield there. This is the climb picture you want to set and maintain with your stick to maintain your airspeed. Pitch controls airspeed, power controls whether you climb or descend. Past 900 feet going through pattern altitude, go ahead and turn the landing light off, please. We're going to do a 270-degree turn over the field. Notice how fast this thing climbs. We'll climb to about 2,500 feet and we'll fly it from there. We're coming up on 2,000 feet. Looks good. Everything is doing great. Okay, traffic Diamond 6 Charlie Lima is crossing over midfield from east to west at 2,200 feet.
Traffic Diamond 352 Delta Chinese Hang Final runway 147 2
We're past 2,500, I'm not paying attention. It takes a lot of throttle movement in this airplane.
New traffic, Cessna 49988 is turning base runway 14, number 2, Noonan.
It takes a lot of throttle movement to change engine RPM in this. So we'll get her back down to 2,500 feet. We'll set about 2,200 RPM. Alrighty, you have the flight controls.
I have the flight controls.
On the throttles. Now, put it like this. Well, control it like that. There you go. You have the flight controls, you're flying the airplane. Notice where the horizon cuts through the windscreen and the gap between the horizon and the top of the glare shield, okay? If you keep that gap the same at this setting and power, you're going to maintain level flight. This is your level flight picture at 2,200 RPM, or 2,200 RPM. We would fly this airplane, we don't reference here much. It's all 90% of the time it's out here. This is the best attitude indicator you could have. Good. So notice how friendly the airplane is. How do you like the visibility? Isn't it? If you keep an eye on that pitch picture, if it gets narrower, your nose has come up and you're going to want to climb. If it gets too much ground to see visibility, you're diving. So you want to maintain that gap, if you will. Okay? Very good. Very nice. That's Fort Valley out here. There's a big bus manufacturing plant called Bluebird. That's a sure sign you're over Fort Valley when you see all those yellow buses out there. Go ahead and lean this out a little bit. Very nice. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is do a slight turn. Now let's talk about turning before we do it, all right? When you turn an airplane, it's a combination of rudder and your stick. Airplane turns based on its bank angle. All the rudder does is make sure you're not skidding or slipping around the turn, okay? So a good rule of thumb for somebody learning to turn an airplane properly is stick and rudder, don't use one without the other, okay? So when you're moving the stick, you want to push the slight rudder pressure in the direction you're moving the stick. Once you get to the bank angle you're happy with, you stop to bring the stick back to middle, and you can bring the rudder pedals back to center also, okay? So let's start a turn to the left. That's it, little left rudder. Okay, now stop your bank angle. And bring your rudder pedals back to neutral. There you go. You're looking to keep that gap, okay? You'll notice if you have an imaginary pencil coming off the spinner, you can see the gap it creates between the horizon line, okay? And you want to drag that same distance all the way across the horizon as you turn. This way you maintain level flight. Very nice. A quick glance at the attitude indicator shows me you're about 20 degrees bank, which is perfect. For most maneuvers in the airplane, we use 20 degrees bank. In the traffic pattern, we use 20 degrees bank. Very nice. Now, one habit you want to avoid is staring over there too much. In a car, you kind of look over there when you turn, right? In an airplane, you don't need to worry about it because that stuff's going to come out here in front of you eventually anyway. The big important thing is maintaining the right angle of bank with the glare shield angle versus that horizon angle, okay? And maintaining that proper gap. If you focus on that, with just a quick glance every now and again, sooner or later what you're interested in is going to come in front of you anyway. And anything that you would accidentally hit, like a bird, it's going to be in this area, it's not going to be over there. So we want to focus on out front of the airplane most of the time. Other than looking around, focus most of your attention out. That's how you're going to notice small changes in pitch. Get back to level flight. Looking for that gap that you know works. Oh, perfect. All right, let's go to the right. Notice how your nose came up there just a little. There you go. I got to hand it to you. You got to. You make a fine verbal autopilot.
We're climbing just a little bit.
There you go. Yep. So you make a slight pitch change, set it, and don't let the nose come back up again. So if you're climbing just a little bit, obviously your nose is too high, so you lower the nose, and you accept more gap, if you will, between the horizon and your... Notice how your bank is getting steeper, see how the angle's getting greater?
Uh-huh.
That's a tendency to spiral into the turn. It's especially prevalent when you're turning to the right. Go back to wings level. Go back the other direction, and the goal is to maintain level flight. Enough bank right there. Doing real good. What we're going to do to challenge you a little more is I'm going to start turning you more and more. We're going to shorten that pie that you're turning left and right in. So focus out front. You let your nose drop a little bit and you lost a little bit of altitude. Go back the other way. Don't forget about that rudder now. Go back the other way. Very nice. Notice how nose low you got on that. The natural tendency when you're sitting on that side of the airplane to dive into left turns and climb into right ones. Because you see more ground over here. Go back the other way. Good use of rudder, by the way. Did really good on the rudders. That's what makes the nose work real well with you. Like this time, I don't want you to move the rudder, and I want you to go back the other way and watch what happens to your nose. Don't use the rudder. See how the nose just kind of goes that way a little bit, and then it tries to come over, and things get a little awkward. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, go back the other way. Use the rudder this time. How much smoother that was, coordinated. Very nice. We'll head back over that direction and go back to straight and level. And I want to talk a little bit about trim with you, trimming the airplane. Very good. Okay, straight and level now. What I'm going to do is I want you to maintain that pitch picture, and I'm going to mess with your trim. The forces on the stick are going to fight you, but I want you to see that you're the guy in charge of maintaining the pitch, no matter what the trim's trying to do. Okay? So I'm going to reach around you here. All right? Going nose forward first. That's full nose down. Notice you have complete control of the airplane, but you're fighting the pressure on the stick. Now I'm going to trim it nose back. I want you to maintain. Very good. Again, you're in control of it, aren't you? Now I want you to take your fingers here, and I want you to trim out the pressures. But if you got to push forward, you want to push the nose down. Okay? There you go. Once you get it to where you can take the hand off and nothing moves, the airplane's trimmed up. Very good. All right, give me a left turn here, and we'll go back toward the north. Nope, don't look over there. Look out here. Really important to watch your pitch picture as you do the turn. Once the turn's established and you're happy everything's working, you can glance over there if you want to. Time to look for a turn is before you start the turn, not during it. and roll out wings level. Good use of rudder. Okay, I want you to remember that trim is like cruise control. Alright? You're to use trim when, let me get there. You're to use trim once you get everything where you want it, and then you take the pressure off. Don't try to fly it with the trim button, because if you do, you're always going to be behind. Never work for you. So think of it like cruise control in the car. Real good. I want to show you something. What I want you to do is pull off 500 RPM. Let's bring it back to about 1700. I have to move it quite a bit. Alright? Now don't try to maintain level flight. Let the nose drift down. We're going to maintain our constant speed here. Stop it right about there. Hold that pitch picture. I want you to notice how many feet per minute are we descending right now?
About 5 to 7.
Oh, about 500, I would say, right? Right in that ballpark? Yeah. So there's a direct relationship here. 100 RPM of change, you maintain your speed, gives you 100 feet a minute of climb or descent. That's called conditions of flight. So I lower the power 100 RPM, I descended 100 feet per minute. Or climb that much if I add power. Okay, I want you to add back to, push it all the way to about 25. Remember, as you add power, you're going to have a little right rudder to compensate for torque. And just hold this narrower pitch picture. Don't do level flight. Bring your nose up a little more. Because we're going more power than it takes for level flight at 105 knots. Okay, so we've added almost 2,500 from 22, 300 feet a minute. It's a colder day than normal here, so we're flying. We've added quite a bit of power, and we're climbing at about 500 feet a minute. So here's the lesson for you. Don't just guess at the power setting you want to climb or descend at a rate. Use the formula of 100 RPM, gives you 100 feet a minute. So set the RPM change that you want. Make sure you pitch to maintain the proper airspeed. So bring your nose up just a little. There you go. 20. And you know what? That thing will perform very, very well. You won't be chasing your climb and descent rates either. So again, this is called conditions of flight. 100 RPM gives you 100 feet a minute. All right, when we get to 3,000 feet, pull it back to 2,200 and level off. Bump it up just a little bit. Perfect. All right, you notice that your trim change you haven't had a need to change the trim, have you? Your pressure on the stick hasn't changed. Well, it hasn't changed because your airspeed hasn't changed. When you trimmed it to right here, you trimmed it for 105 knots. Now, what I want you to do is add a little power and accelerate past 105, but keep it in level flight. So keep this pitch picture the same. Little right rudder when you add power. Oh, 20. Okay. Now notice as it accelerates, your trim is no longer good, is it? Right, okay, pull the power back to about 17, but maintain level. Don't let that nose drop. Hold the nose up, there you go, hold the nose up. A little more nose up, it'll start to descend it. Notice you're no longer trimmed either, are you? Having to hold the stick back, aren't you? Well, the airplane's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that your trim setting, you're in the wrong speed for the place where you trimmed the airplane. Here's a ticket, a key. If you're feeling pressure on the stick, you're probably not on the airspeed you want to be on. It's like a physical warning system. Tell you you're not where you want to be. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to 2,200 RPM. Very good. Guess what? Your trim works for you again. So, two big lessons that I want you to understand here. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Two big lessons I want you to understand are the value of trim. It's like cruise control, all right? And conditions of flight. If you want to descend, set a set power setting, and you know what you're going to get if you don't change your airspeed. All right, this is going to be a left-hand turn. Up, look out front, not over there. I know, it's a habit, it's a driving habit you picked up, but you know what? You can't see changes in pitch that are going to screw up your turn if you're looking over there. So wings level, we'll head toward Fort Valley over there. Very nice. All right, we have a checklist. Pull your power back a little bit. It's a little over 22. There you go. If you go faster than you're trimmed, you're going to fight the stick.
Yeah, I saw the airspeed going up, and I was like,
yeah, exactly. So you want to, I'm teaching you how to fly lazy.
yeah.
And you're going to look good doing it. All right, you're doing pretty good. I'm trying to think about what we need to do. Let me talk about a checklist for a minute. When we start doing maneuvers in the airplane like slow flight and steep bank turns and stalls and stuff like that, we want to make sure the airplane's ready to handle these unusual conditions. So we have something called an LC GUMPS check. LC-GUMPS. The checklist is like this. L stands for landing light, so we turn the landing light on. Back on the throttle when you're not needing it. C stands for carb heat. This is a fuel-injected engine. It doesn't have a carburetor. So we're going to teach you to think about carb heat anyway, because all the airplanes you fly may have carburetors. So carb heat, we don't have one. If you're doing a maneuver in the area, it stands for C, stands for clearing turns. All right? So clearing turns, the FAA defines as either a 180-degree turn or a couple of 90-degree turns to make sure that the airspace around you is free of other aircraft or obstacles. So let's make a 90-degree turn to the right. Look out here in front. Look first and then start your turn, but once you start your turn, look out front. Real good. And we'll do another 90 to the left. Look first and then turn. Don't let that nose drop. All right, very good. So clearing turns are complete. G stands for gas. All right? Obviously, we want to make sure we have a fuel supply to the engine. So here's what we do. I start making sure the fuel pump is on. I do a check mark. Fuel pump's on. Fuel valve is open. I've got good pressure, good quantity. Okay. U stands for undercarriage, which is a British way of saying landing gear.
Yeah.
Undercarriage down and welded. But you may not always fly fixed gear, so we train you to think about your undercarriage. Yeah, mixture, full rich. All right, so we're going to take the mixture, pinch it like this, and push it all the way to full. P stands for power. All right, pull the power to 2,000 RPM. There you go. Very good. All right, and make sure everything's set up power-wise. It is. Okay, S stands for safety, security, and switches. All right, safety. Loose items, seat belts, windows, hatches, doors. Okay. Security, again, it sets the windows, hatches, and doors are closed, and the lights out. Switches, strobe, landing, it should be on, so maximum visibility. People are out here, can see you maneuvering, okay? Everything else is off, that should be in both. These two on, those three on, and that's all the way up. So your switches are good. So LC gumps check is complete. This LC gumps check is also what we always use prior to landing an airplane, coming into the traffic pattern. All right, now, I want you to maintain level flight and pull the power to 1500 RPM. Now, as you slow down, you're going to have to increase your pitch to maintain level flight because you have to make the wing work harder because it's going slower. So start bringing that nose up. Don't trim it. I want you to leave the trim alone. I want to feel the pressures. That's it. Keep bringing that nose up. All right, I'm going to bring your flaps to full. I'll put your power at 15. Go. All right. Don't let her land. Don't let her. Keep the nose coming up now. Coming up. Nose coming up. Fairly nose high here. We're doing slow flight. You're doing so well. That's your stall warning horn. We're not going to follow the sky. Trust me on this. Okay. But you're going to teach you to fly it on the edge of the envelope. You're doing so good at all other places, we're going to expand your knowledge. Okay, bring your nose up a little higher. That nose coming up. Now put your power set at about 1900 RPM. Power up, bring that nose up some more. Notice how much torque affects you when you're slow. That engine spinning up makes the nose want to go to the left. There you go, bring your nose up a little higher. More pitch, more pitch. That's it, more pitch. Okay, you're flying around in what's called slow flight. The controls take a little longer to respond, but the airplane is perfectly flyable. All right? To turn the airplane, you don't want to change your bank very much at all, because you need all the lift you can get this slow. Oh no, that goes on the throttle. So what you do is you turn primarily with rudder. It takes a lot of right rudder to hold the nose straight when you're this slow, because your rudder back there isn't gotten a lot of airflow. So all you have to do if you want to go to the right is take off some of that right rudder pressure, or add a little more right rudder. Keep adding right rudder, more right rudder, and counteract to keep the wings from banking too much. Don't let the bank happen. That's it. More right rudder, more right rudder. There you go. That you are turning, but you're kind of doing it like this, kind of. Don't fly off the gauges. Right, did you drop the nose on purpose?
No, that was the stall.
I didn't stall. I have the flight controls.
You have the controls.
I have the flight controls. All right, stall looks like this. Notice where my pitch is, right? Stall. Totally different. It takes about 38 knots to stall the airplane. So, you're nowhere near the stall. I'll bring the nose up a little bit more here. You can climb and descend in this mode too if you have to. Notice I want to keep the bank angle less than 10 degrees. All right. All right, come on the flight controls. You're going to have to hide a little back pressure on it. Feel that? Okay, there you go. You're flying the airplane.
I have the controls.
You have the flight controls. A little more right rudder to make it go straight. There you go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you how to recover. Smoothly apply full power. More right rudder when you do, and lower your nose a little bit. Come on, bring it all the way up. That's it. Okay, lower your nose some more. You want to climb. Bring your flaps to halfway. There you go. Wait a second. Now we're coming up on 60. Bring the flaps all the way up. Pretty much recovered level flight. Now pull your power back. Keep your hand on the throttle. Pull your power back to 22. Remember, you're still climbing. You don't want to see how narrow that gap is. Set that level flight picture that you used before. There you go. There you go. You, sir, just took the airplane to the edge of the flight envelope. That. Okay, what would you like to see or do? This is your time.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know? Why don't you just fly it around a little bit? Try to take it down to 3,000 feet. Try to maintain 3,000 feet. Don't let the nose bury itself too deep here because you'll get fast and the trim will be messed up. Remember, power controls altitude. If you want to descend, pull the power back. Very good. Okay, so we can head back to the airfield, I think. We've got landing lights on. Carb heat, we don't have. Gas, fuel pump, fuel valves open, good pressure and quantity. Undercarriage is down and welded, mixture is full rich. Power is set where we want it. We'll pull the power back in a decent. Security switches, I got loose items are stowed, seat belts are secure. Windows, your windows closed, your hatch is down. Lights good. Switches, strobe, landing, both, master fuel pump, gin bat, and the flash up. Switches, so checklist is complete. Listen to the weather, see what's going on with the winds there.
Broken, temperature 5 Celsius, dew point -16, altimeter 3039er. Perry, Houston County Airport. Automated weather observation 2138 Zulu, weather, wind 170 at 5, visibility.
1705, let's go back to the left. Good. Don't look too much there, I want you outside most. To roll out. Now, if you look in the distance, you see that runway just below the horizon out there in that way?
Uh-huh.
That's the Macon Regional Airport.
And this is Perry.
Yeah. Distance is Perry. Yeah. Over here to the right, I believe it's the Ag Center. Kind of a gap and some white buildings over there. Fort Valley right there. This is 341. Going between Fort Valley and Perry. Airfield. See that pink dot there?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of headed right for it.
Right there.
There it is, exactly. This thing glides so well, if I were to pull the engine out here, you'd be able to land. So we need to get down. We need to descend. So let's pull the power back to 15. I want you to fly right over midfield. We'll maintain our speed. If we pull off about 700 RPM, we should be doing about 700 feet a minute. We're a little slow, see, so lower the nose a little bit, let our airspeed come up. If you need to retrim it, that's fine too.
No, it's perfect.
All right. We're doing about 500 feet a minute. Ferry traffic, Diamond 6 Charlie Lima is 3 miles to the west, overflying the field west to east for runway 18, Perry. Believe it or not, I see the runway. There's an airplane just taking off midfield right there. What we're going to do is descend to
Perry traffic, this is 73725, turning crosswind for 18.
Okay, he won't be a factor. He'll be downwind and beyond us once we get over here. All right, we've got another 1,000 feet to lose here. We're descending to 1,200 feet.
Ferry traffic, Cherokee 7812 November is currently 3 miles to the northeast of the field, descending through 2000, maneuvering for left 45, downwind runway 36.
And that's how you know there's support, right?
Yeah, you said those hangars right there is the middle of the field, so head right for those.
Perry traffic, this is 73725, downwind for 18.
And Perry traffic in the Diamond is crossing over midfield. Could you call midfield? We're looking for you.
I will do that. We're currently passing 1,800 feet for 1,200. We're about half a mile off the field to the west right now.
All right, we got you in sight. Cherokee 7812 November.
Roger, and I've got you in sight at my 11 o'clock.
Perry traffic, this is 73725, turning base for 18.
I'll take the aircraft. I have the flight controls.
You have the controls.
I have the controls. All right. We're going to cross over midfield, enter left downwind for runway 18. We'll do a full stop landing. I'll talk you through the procedures. Basically, I want you to notice.
678 Charlie Sierra is west, downwind, runway 14.
Notice where the pitch is, okay, on the airplane. We're still in descent, so. And 6 Charlie Lima is midfield, overhead. At the Guardian Center right up here.
73725, turning final for 18.
Start our turn here to downwind. Ferry traffic, 6 Charlie Lima, midfield left downwind, 18, Perry, full stop. Okay, I'm going to go to...
And Perry traffic, Cherokee 7812 November is right 360 for spacing on the downwind.
If you'll notice that road in the distance there, on that.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's kind of close.
I don't know where he came from.
I don't either. Cherokee 6 Charlie Lima, I thought you were further out.
This is Cherokee 7812 November, and we came out to maneuver for the left 45 on the downwind, and I assume that you're going to do a teardrop.
Okay, we're going to pull the power here to 15. First notch of flaps. Start our turn. Look where the airfield is off your windscreen there. The distance. A little high, so I'm going to go to idle here.
7812 November is left downwind 18.
And Perry traffic, 6 Charlie Lima is left base, runway 18, Perry. So, see how the trees line up here? This is a good gauge for 90 to the runway. A little high, I'm going to go to full flap. Final is see anybody. So, bring it around. We're going to line up with the extended center line, imaginary runway. Looking for 60 knots at full flaps. Slow it down. If you don't slow this thing down, it doesn't decelerate the hoot. So if you want to get down, you actually got to pull the nose up and slow down. Perry traffic 6 Charlie Lima is final 18, full stop, Perry.
Was the high?
234 November Delta is 13.
A little high, I'm going to slip it, side slip it here.
45 left now, runway 14.
Probably landed a little long on purpose.
November is left face 18, Perry.
You don't have to taxi so far.
Exactly. The nicest thing is to control. Now notice where the glare shield goes as I enter the flare here. My goal is just to not let it land, so I'm going to hold it off as long as it'll fly. And I aero brake it and I keep the nose up. I'm going to get off the runway here so we're out of his way.
Perry traffic, Cherokee 7812 November is final 18, Perry.
And Perry traffic 6 Charlie Lima is clear at Bravo 18. And thanks, Cherokee. Good job.
All right, no problem. We were looking out for you, Cherokee 7812 November.
And 6 Charlie Lima will hold for the taxi Cessna here at Bravo. Go ahead and turn the strobe and landing light off. After landing checklist is lights off, flaps up. Okay, a little right rudder and a right brake. That's it. More right brake, right rudder, full right rudder. Okay.
Like, why isn't it going?
Well, remember, it's aerodynamics. There's kind of a delay between input and reaction. So once you have full rudder in, if it's still not doing what you want, tap the brake on that side. Little right brake. That's it. More right brake. That's it. You're doing a good job at taxiing off center line, so let's bring it back over and then we'll taxi straight.
On the upwind, runway 18, staying in the pattern, Perry.
Okay, as we approach our turn, we'll hit both brakes and slow it down a little bit. There you go. Okay, now full right rudder. Come off the brake, full right rudder and right brake. Hit the brake, there you go. More. Add a little power. That's it. All right, now, good. All right, I have the flight control.
You have the controls.
November, left crosswind.
When you get a little better at it, I'll let you closer to the hangars. You're doing really good for your first flight. Okay, we'll park it right about here. Look in front, see that kind of faded yellow line? I sort of use that for my in-out guidance.